The clock struck 3 a.m. when a German shepherd suddenly dragged a sleeping baby from her crib. Her parents jolted awake, chasing their dog in panic, only to find him standing in the front yard, baby safe in his jaws. The shocking truth behind his actions would leave them forever changed. Olivia and James Miller were devoted parents to their 8-month-old baby, Lily, and their loyal German shepherd, Rex. Their days were filled with baby giggles, family dinners, and quiet evenings by the fireplace. Rex, with his thick coat and watchful eyes, had been part of the family long before Lily arrived. He had always been gentle, protective, and remarkably patient with her. That evening was no different. Olivia had tucked Lily into her crib, humming softly as she arranged her blankets. Rex lay nearby, his ears occasionally twitching at the faint creaks of the old house. James double-checked the locks and turned off the porch light, then joined Olivia in bed. The wind whispered through the trees outside, and a peaceful stillness settled over the house. But sometime in the early hours, that peace was shattered. Rex stirred from his spot, his ears perking at an unfamiliar scent, a change in the air. The baby monitor crackled softly in the corner, but Rex's instinct spoke louder. He stood, muscles tense, pacing quietly in the hallway. Something wasn't right. The loyal shepherd, so often content to sleep through the night, was suddenly alert and ready to act. Rex paced the length of the hallway, his nails clicking softly against the hardwood floor. His usually calm demeanor was replaced by agitation, as if an invisible force was urging him to act. He let out a low, anxious whine and scratched at the door to the baby's room, something he had never done before. In their bedroom, Olivia stirred slightly at the noise. She nudged James groggily, whispering, "Did you hear that?" James mumbled, half asleep. "It's probably Rex being restless." But Rex's pacing continued, his movements growing more urgent. He pawed at the baby gate, sniffing the air and whining louder, a sound filled with desperation. James sighed, pulling the covers tighter. "He'll settle down," he murmured. But Rex was relentless. He nudged at the baby's door with his nose, finally pushing it open just enough to slip inside. The baby monitor crackled faintly, picking up the sound of his soft whines. Inside Lily's room, Rex approached the crib, his breath puffing against the wooden bars. He circled it twice, sniffing at the air. Something was wrong. He could feel it. Without hesitation, he gently tugged at the blanket, his teeth careful not to touch the baby's skin. Slowly, he began to pull the blanket and Lily with it toward the open door. In the hallway, Rex paused, looking back toward the bedroom where his humans lay sleeping. His body trembled with urgency. He whined once more, louder this time. It was a plea, a cry for them to wake and follow. The German shepherd, usually content to sleep peacefully by the fireplace, had sensed a danger that no one else could see, and he wasn't about to let it harm his family. What do you think Rex sensed before anyone else could? Let me know in the comments. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Rex's soft whines finally stirred Olivia from her sleep. She blinked groggily at the baby monitor on the nightstand. A faint rustling came through the static, soft but unmistakable. She sat up, her heart quickening. "James," she whispered urgently, shaking his shoulder. "Something's wrong. Rex is in Lily's room." James's eyes snapped open, confusion clouding his face. He swung his legs off the bed and grabbed his robe. Together, they hurried down the hallway, their bare feet tapping against the hardwood floor. As they approached the baby's room, the door creaked open just enough for them to glimpse inside. Their breath caught. Rex was there, standing at the crib, but the crib was empty. Instead, the German shepherd was gently gripping the baby's blanket, dragging it across the room. Lily lay bundled inside, her tiny body barely stirring. "Rex, stop!" James shouted, panic surging through his voice. But Rex ignored the command, his powerful legs pulling the blanket and the baby toward the open door. His eyes were wild with determination, his movements purposeful and controlled. Olivia's heart pounded as she rushed forward, but before she could reach him, Rex had already maneuvered Lily into the hallway. He glanced back at them, letting out a sharp bark as if urging them to follow. Without thinking, James and Olivia chased after the dog, their minds racing with confusion and fear. "What is he doing?" Olivia cried. James had no answer. They followed Rex down the hallway, through the living room, and toward the front door. Just as James was about to intervene, he froze. A faint acrid scent prickled his nose. Smoke. His pulse quickened as he turned his head toward the kitchen. Through the dark, he saw it, faint orange flickers, the telltale glow of a fire creeping up the wall. "Olivia, it's a fire," he shouted, his voice rising in panic. The realization crashed over them like a wave. Rex hadn't been dragging the baby out of the house for no reason. He had sensed the danger before the humans could. They bolted for the front door, James scooping Lily into his arms as Olivia opened the door wide. Rex bounded outside, glancing back only once to ensure his family was following. As they stumbled onto the front lawn, the chill of the early morning air hit their faces. James tightened his grip around Lily, who was stirring softly, her face scrunched in confusion. Olivia wrapped her arms around them both, her heart racing. Rex stood in the middle of the lawn, his chest heaving from the effort of dragging the baby out of the house. His eyes were locked on the house, ears pinned back, body tense with alertness. James turned to look at the house and his breath caught. Thick dark smoke was now billowing from the kitchen window. The faint flicker of orange light had grown into hungry flames licking up the curtains, curling along the ceiling. Olivia gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "The fire!" James whispered, realization dawning. Rex had sensed the fire long before the smoke alarms were triggered. His frantic pacing, his insistent whines, and finally his decision to drag Lily to safety. It all made sense now. James set Lily down on the grass, her blanket still wrapped tightly around her. Olivia knelt beside her, checking her over. Aside from being startled and slightly chilled, the baby was unharmed. James turned to Rex, his eyes glistening with gratitude. "You saved her," he murmured, voice breaking. In the distance, neighbors had begun to emerge from their homes, drawn by the sight of smoke and the family's hurried exit. Someone called 911. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder as emergency crews rushed to the scene. Firefighters arrived within minutes, battling the blaze that had already consumed much of the kitchen. But thanks to Rex's actions, no one was trapped inside. As the flames were doused and smoke curled into the dawn sky, the true hero of the night stood silently by his family, his body trembling, but his head held high. James and Olivia hugged Lily tightly between them, overwhelmed with gratitude. Olivia whispered into Rex's fur. "You're our angel, Rex." The German shepherd leaned into her, his tail giving a faint wag. It wasn't just instinct that had driven him to act. It was love, loyalty, and an unbreakable bond with his family. As dawn broke, painting the sky with shades of pink and gold, the Miller family stood on their front lawn, shivering, but safe. The adrenaline that had carried them outside faded into shock and overwhelming gratitude. James cradled Lily, her tiny hands gripping his collar. Olivia crouched beside Rex, her hands tangled in his thick fur. Neighbors gathered, murmuring in awe at what they had witnessed. One neighbor approached, her voice filled with amazement. "I saw your dog pulling the baby. I thought it was crazy, but then the smoke," he knew. Tears welled in Olivia's eyes as she looked at Rex. The loyal shepherd, exhausted but vigilant, stood by her side, his tail giving a slow, steady wag. "You saved us, Rex," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You saved our baby." James's throat tightened as he glanced at the house. Flames had gutted the kitchen, but the rest of the home was intact. The damage, though devastating, paled in comparison to what could have been. Without Rex's warning, they might have lost everything: their home, their child, their lives. As emergency responders finished their work, one firefighter knelt to pet Rex. "Smart dog," he said with a nod of respect. Rex accepted the praise with quiet dignity, his ears flicking forward at the sound of sirens fading into the distance. For the Millers, the realization settled deep. Their dog wasn't just a pet. He was family, a guardian, and a true hero. If your dog risked everything to save your family from a fire, how would you reward them? Tell me in the comments below.